क्या आप आईएएस की तैयारी कर रहे हैं और कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स को 2.5 लाख तक की फीस नहीं पे करना चाहते? अगर हाँ, तो 22,500 रुपए में घर बैठ के StudyIQ के पेनड्राइव कोर्स के साथ आप आईएएस की तैयारी कर सकते हैं। आज ही विजिट करें StudyIQ.com।
A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Let's see what we have got in the Hindu today. But before that, a positive start. What is the true definition of a wealthy household? It's not how much money that you have in locker. It is more about the life of your daughters and your daughter-in-laws. If they are happy, if they are flourishing, if they are enjoying their life, if they have all those freedom that an individual requires, then your household is a wealthy household. With this, dear friends, the first item that we have is keeping dry. It is pertaining to Kerala. We know that heavy rainfall, in fact floods situation is observed in Kerala at present. Yesterday we were talking about it. Rajnath Singh did aerial survey over here. He gave some 100 crore rupees on ad hoc basis, so that this money can be utilized for looking after all those people who have been forced by the nature to leave their house and leave their properties behind. Somewhere around 1 lakh people are living in some 1,000 plus tents that are created by the state government. Of course, National Disaster Response Team is working here at ground level as far as this rehabilitation and this whole relief and rehabilitation process is concerned. Things are so far so good. And the good thing about Kerala is that what we are witnessing here is that rather than political parties engaging in this blame game, we don't find this sort of thing in Kerala at present as far as this flood and this rescue mission is concerned. So it's a good thing, right? We need synergy. We need 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. We don't want 2 minus 2 is equal to 0, right? So it's a good thing that political parties are showing this maturity. Hats off to all those emergency response team people as well. See, remember, any sort of natural calamity associated with water is more dangerous than earthquake and other things. Let me explain it to you. The reason is flood or tsunami, right? It will destroy, say for example, if you have tsunami or flood, it is going to destroy your fields, it is going to destroy your houses. So will earthquake and other things. But the thing is, it will have one second inning impact as well. After this flood, right, you will find so many waterborne diseases taking place, and this is going to be second inning. So we need to gear up, right, for this second inning impact of this flood. Now, what this article is trying to indicate us, or what we can learn from this one, if we read between the lines, then we find that it is climate change that is getting more and more severe. If you see Kerala, then it used to have a very, you can say, balanced and very distributed rainfall. But now what we find is it is having more erratic rainfall. You have 4 months, right? June, you have July, August and September. So earlier on it used to be that this pre-monsoon shower, and then you have this 4 months, right, predominant monsoon season. So you used to have this pre-monsoon shower, and then gradually monsoon will reach its peak, and then it will of course decline. So it used to be something like this. But now what we find is that we find sudden peaks, right, and then you have some dry spell, then again sudden peak. It's getting more and more unpredictable. And as per one research that was conducted by University of Cambridge, they have found that summers are getting more and more drier in Kerala, and as far as rainfall is concerned, it is getting more and more severe. So if you analyze this information, then we find that when summers are getting more and more drier, your topsoil will be just like a powder, isn't it? It will be too dry. So it will make your environment or that place more dusty. This will have impact on production of so many things. New diseases can come out, and then you have all of the sudden, when your topsoil is dry state, and when you have altogether heavy rainfall, then it will wash away all your topsoil, and it will basically wash away, and then you have stones underneath this layer of soil. So it will take away all those important layers of all this alluvial and other fertile soil, topsoil that we have. So it is going to be absolutely bad for economy as well. Food production will come down. If food production comes down, then you know that inflation will kick in. If inflation kicks in, then loan distribution will come down. So it will, this is how this bad or this climate change will impact economy, and economy will impact our social life will impact our political life. So in this way, it's just like a cobweb. This is the best example you can take, right? It's like a cobweb. If you play with one string, then it is going to send this ripple effect in all these other strings, and the whole cobweb will start dancing. So this is something that we have to work on. Climate change is something that is our shared responsibility. With this, dear friends, second item that we have, and the reason why I have discussed this thing is, of course, for your understanding, and you can use example of Kerala just in case if you find a question in your mains examination. If you think that this fits perfectly well with example, then you can use it. Just a food for thought. Second editorial that we have, again, it's a very short and sweet one. It is Huff and E-Puff. Huff and E-Puff is about electronic cigarettes. A new word, I think it was introduced in Oxford Dictionary somewhere in 2014 or 15. Not exactly sure about the year of its introduction, but the word is vape, right? V-A-P-E. So vape basically means electronic cigarette. Now, there are people out there who are claiming that electronic cigarettes are safer than the normal cigarettes, this tobacco-filled cigarettes that normally we get, right? So it's more safe than this tobacco regular cigarettes, but you cannot say that they are completely safe, right? They are going to be, they will be a little bit safe, but they are going to cause a little bit of damage, right? Still, it's a new thing. When I say new thing, I mean to say that it's been nearly, 10 years something, maybe 10 years, 10, 11 years. If you see UK and USA and all those countries, they had this thing introduced back in 2008 or 9 or something. In our country, it's a new thing. From last 3-4 years, we find this sort of products available in our country. But the point here is that we need more research on this thing. Without research, we will not be in a position to say whether this thing is bad or how much bad it is. Of course, it is bad, but the severity, we have to scale it, isn't it? One thing that we find here is that they produced carcinogens. Now, carcinogens are items that can cause cancer. And you have this word here, formaldehyde. And I have a question for you. Let me see how many of you are reading it properly, how many of you are going through this video with focus. So do let me know. Formaldehyde, right? It was in news, I think, last month. So why it was in news? This is you just have to provide one liner, but do let me know why it was in news. This is your first question of the day. The most important article that we have in today's The Hindu, the most important one is this one. It's about growth may pick up, but concerns remain. And this article will give you can say, an overall understanding of what's going on in our economy. I'll quickly take you through some basic items as well. Now, a couple of days ago, we were talking about this thing that Swaminathan report did a survey, and the report says that 60% of agricultural land that we have in our country is rain-fed. That is totally dependent on rain. So, take example of Kerala, right? Is it just Kerala that is going through this sort of erratic rainfall pattern? Not at all. It is Gujarat as well. Take the latest example of Gujarat. In some parts of Gujarat, we find heavy floods, and in some parts you have a drought. So this paradox, you can say, this two extremes that we are finding in, it's just one example. Yes, same thing applies with Maharashtra as well. Take the area of Vidarbha. Check out Uttar Pradesh, right? So we have this two extremes, right? In some places you have too much of rainfall, in some places you don't have even a single drop. So these extremes are difficult to control. The other thing is that economy is, as far as our economy is concerned, right, 50% plus population of our country is associated with agriculture. And what you find here, that 11 meteorological divisions out of 36 are going through this deficit period of monsoon. So just let's take an hypothetical example. Let's say that this 11 districts that are in question here, right, deficit one, just imagine if they are representing the 60% of agricultural land. Just take an hypothetical example. So if this is the case, just in case, then you can imagine that we are talking about what, nearly 25% of our population, because 50% is already engaged with agriculture. So roughly speaking, 25% of Indian population, will be in severe pain because of their land has not got enough water. So crop failure will take place, crop production will come down, inflation will go up. If inflation goes up, then RBI will not be in a position to give out money at cheaper rate. So industrial production may come down. If industrial production comes down, then jobs will get affected. If there are no jobs, then this will create waste of human capital. And youngsters, they will lose their peak years. So their whole life, will get affected by this thing. And I will give you a small example. This will help you with your life as well. See, if I start drawing a straight line, of course I don't have a scale, but try this thing, right? When we try to draw a line, just a small variation somewhere, a small angle here, see, just a small a little bit on the downside, and you find that your whole line will end up somewhere else, isn't it? Same thing happens with life. When you lose your peak years of your life looking for a job, and if you have found one, and if that is not as per your capacity, then it will create it will change the whole direction of your life. So this is very important. So human capital, which is one of the most important thing, will be wasted, and this will create political pressure. So I hope you are getting the message here that it impacts everything, This is again the whole cobweb that we are talking about. Rice production in states like Bihar will come down. When rice production will come down, or if farmers are going through this pain, then government will inject more money, isn't it? Government will have to give money to farmers out of its own pocket. It may look good, at political level, but if you go through economical and financial level, if you analyze it from this angle, then you find that this is not a healthy trend at all. Agricultural growth at best will be somewhere around 3.4. Now, if a particular sector of your economy is growing at 3.4% per year, that means you are having 100 rupees today. Next year, you will have 103.4 rupees. So do you think you have got that much money? No. If you have 100, and if every year you are getting 10 rupees, say for example, next year you have 110, and then you have 121. So if you are doing this way, if you are going this way, then in 5-10 years down the line, you can say that your income will get doubled, isn't it? But here, the way things are going on, just pumping money is not going to help us. As far as service sector is concerned, which is if I tell you service sector, you have less population working in this sector, but as far as GDP contribution is concerned, it has the biggest, it has the lion's share, So public expenditure means government will inject more money to improve this service sector. So this will create it will work as a boost for our economy. Of course, it will be healthy for the growth as well. But as far as this industrial production is concerned, we need to create more jobs. This is the biggest hurdle that we are facing at present. We'll talk about it as well. But so service sector, more money will be injected by government, of course, because elections are just around the corner, isn't it? Now, industrial production, index, we were talking about it a couple of days ago, isn't it? It was in news. I provided you with one picture from financial paper as well. So it has been good. If you go through 370 large companies, then their combined revenues and profits have been very good. So it's not bad, but still, right, things are not perfect, you can say. As far as GST is concerned, it is a work in progress thing. I have already explained you many a times that it's not something that you introduce and then you forget, right? It's not about fire and forget. It's something that you have to nurture, right? You have to make people used to with GST, then you will find problems with it. What you have on your table, and when you introduce that particular thing at ground level, then that's a totally different thing, So this is something with GST, but the good thing is that this GST, the way things are going on in GST Council, it's a very good example of our federal structure as well. Cooperative federalism, I can say. International financial institutions are saying that India is going to hit somewhere, as far as growth is concerned, 7.3. RBI is expecting 7.4, which is of course not bad. We would like to see more and more. We want to see 7. Why not 7.8? Why not 8.1 or something? Why not double digit growth? But for that, there are so many things that we have to work on. And moving on to some other items in this editorial, in this article, it is about external environment. Now remember, external environment is a thing over which we have no control, right? One is trade wars. You know how tariffs are imposed. So I don't think so I have to give you example for this, the bad impacts of trade wars, right? I hope things are clear to regular students. I'm sure most of you are regular students. So if you find any issue with this one, if you want example, just let me know. I will provide you one example. Now, Iran, right? We import 80, not from Iran, but overall 80% of our fuel is imported. And if we are not going to get oil from a very important supplier like Iran, which is I think number 2 or number 3 as far as oil is concerned. So if this is going to take place, if sanctions, because of the sanctions, if our supply is going to get disruption, then it is going to kick inflation again. Current account deficit has not always been a thing, or a thing that, current account surplus or deficit. Most of the time we are in deficit because, of course, oil. And the second thing is our merchandise trade deficit is also there because of even today we cannot claim ourselves as a manufacturing country. We are still agriculture based economy. And if we want this make in India, and here is in a nutshell, I will give you gist of what we need to do, how we can boost make in India. Quality, right? This is the only thing that can help us. There was a time, you might have heard this song called Mera Joota Hai Japani of Raj Kapoor. If you see his juta or his boots, you'll find that you can see his toe, right? So at that point of time, Japanese products were of inferior quality, and this was not helping them. They started producing quality products, and today when I say that Toyota or Suzuki or some other company names, we are talking about good, reliable quality products. When I say China, then even today, right, China is producing all those items, but then as well, that image has not left China. What we can learn from someone else's mistake. We can have this late starters advantage. We need to focus on quality. Only then we would be able to compete in international market. Only then our exports will go up, and for that we have to re-engineer our production capacity, and we have to provide better, and we create better infrastructure, good transportation, storage, and all these things, right? Packaging and everything. We have to create this whole operations of logistics. As far as non-performing assets are concerned, it is a big thing. Commercial banks are not doing that good, 11.6%, which is bad thing, and public sector banks 15.6%. It's again a very bad thing. As you know now, less money in the hands of bank, less money it can give out, and because of this thing, loans will become dearer or expensive, and investment cycle will get disruption. As far as fiscal management is concerned, financial management is concerned, there are two things that we need to keep an eye on. The first one is GST related. We were talking about this thing that government has got 1 lakh crore rupees earlier on. It was when on April for the month of March, government got 1 lakh crore rupees as revenue in GST. But later on we find 95, 96,000 and 94,000 and things like that. So it's a big amount, right? No doubt. But if we are not crossing 1 lakh crore per month, then we are going to see a big deficit figure. So this means government will have to give out money from its own pocket, money that can be used for infrastructure, for creating better resilience against this climate change. This money will be given out. So this is a thing that we need to look. And the second thing is proposed minimum support price, right? Too much of money again injected and loan waiver and all these things are not going to help. We have to find some sustainable solutions. And I was talking about job opportunities, right? We need to reduce poverty, of course, and our manufacturing, our Make in India should create more jobs. Only then it is going to be bountiful for our country. So I hope this most important article, as I told you, and I'm sure now things are clear to you guys. We have talked about, generally speaking, the whole economy in a nutshell. Now here we have this article. It is about lateral entry. As far as this article is concerned, it's not that important for your lateral entry. Is a very important topic, mind you, but this article is not up to the mark as far as understanding of lateral entry is concerned. We are going to find more and more articles on this thing. We have talked about lateral entry as well. I explained you things like how we can, when it comes to judiciary, we can introduce this thing, how lateral entry can bring in change agents, and remember all those things. So nothing new you will find in this one. How to move a mountain. It is about caste system that we have in our country. The only solution to get rid of caste, if we want to get rid of caste system, then it is intercaste marriages. That's the only thing that I can think of that will work, right? Supreme Court has also said this thing. Of course, I have, from Supreme Court as well, I got this thing that it is intercaste marriage. And if you think about it, then you will find that yes, it is intercaste marriage. It will take time, but after 1 or 2 generations, everyone will be mixed up, and that's what we want. We are in fact mixed up because it's very strange thing, right? Our whole philosophy of our country is based on not on birth, but it's based on your work, your attitude, right? Whether you are low or high, it depends on your thinking, your perspective, rather than your birth. So it's about a story, and then it's going on, and then it's talking about this caste system. Again, if you don't have time, you can drop this one. I have dropped it as far as our discussion is concerned. And then we have this one, a rainbow coalition. Rainbow coalition is about a new change that we are finding in the society of Kerala. Transgenders, right? They used to be, they faced. There was a time when they were, kicked out, and they were not getting that respect and things. But now things are changing in Kerala, and one of the reason is the current chief minister and the previous chief minister and their governments have done much for transgenders. If we go back to the history of our country, then we find that transgenders used to play a very important role in administration. We had some army commanders who were transgender. So it's not about your sex, right? It's not whether you are male, female, or transgender. It's again, right? It's up to you how good or bad as a human being you are. That is something that is the most important thing, not your sexual orientation or your sex. The other thing that I would like to add here is that British, right, when they arrived here in India and when they started controlling us, from that time you will find that this transgenders, right, they were ostracized. Earlier on, as I told you, we have so many examples. So they were never harassed. They were part of society. Just like any male and female, they were part of society. So this also indicates the consciousness of Indian people back in time. It's very sad that at present we don't have that much that we used to have. But still, we find there are activists and there are people who are campaigning for their rights. And now let's go through some latest news item. This is about a charge of assault on Chief Minister of Delhi. The sad thing is that he himself was a bureaucrat. He himself was a civil servant. And when you're preparing for civil services, you always think about this thing that politicians, you hear about this thing that politicians will create troubles for you. You will have political pressure and things like that. It's right as well. It's not right as well. But this sort of incidents, violence against the civil servants, is something that is not at all acceptable. The thing is, violence against anyone is not acceptable. And if you're chief minister or prime minister or president, right, you cannot hate anyone. We are a bit of a violent society, to be honest, right? Things that we can sort out with words, we find that people are very, ready to have a fight, physical one I'm talking about. And this is absolutely not acceptable for democracy, because both of them, you have civil servant and you have this representative of people, both of them are responsible, and they should be committed towards our constitution and the people. As far as ease of living index is concerned, Pune is at number 1 spot with this, and I would like to highlight that the Union Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs is the responsible agency that brings out this sort of index. India has rejected UK's proposal for using DNA test for illegal migrants. We cannot allow their privacy, right, to be breached. So this is the reason why we have rejected this thing. As RBI is going through, it is using this magnifying glass, and it is going through, very meticulously going through the accounts of 200 companies, and these are Videocon and SR Steel and Bush and Steel and other companies. Is going through to check whether these companies are not creating, or they are not in a direction that will create more NPAs. Facebook is preparing itself for this election that is going to take place in our country, general election, and it has designed this 5-point strategy. It will check foreign interference, remove fake accounts, and check false news, and bring transparency, add transparency, and increase civic engagement, and all these things are on to-do list of Facebook. Inflation is calming at present a little bit. It was 4.92, it was 4.87, but now it is 4.17. So it's a good indication, right? This will nudge RBI MPC to reduce this interest rate, repo rate. And here you have one small news item that Ayush Ministry has said that don't register this Ayush word, don't trademark, right? The government does not want to trademark this word because it wants to create this information, or this word can be used by everyone. That's what government wants, basically promote healthy way of life. International news, no war, no negotiations with US has been said by Iranian Supreme Leader. North Korea and South Korea and their leaders are going to have one more meeting in September in North Korea. So it's a good news coming from Korean Peninsula. Sadly, in Indonesia, on 5th of August, there was a massive earthquake, and this has taken 400 lives. With this, I have some, if you are getting, or if you are preparing for vocabulary, then here are a few words. I add them for Hindi medium students, but if you want, of course, it is, I myself learn new words on regular basis. I read newspapers and I read books and other things, so I learn so many new words. So it's not that I am perfect, right? And no one is perfect as far as language and knowledge is concerned. We have to learn something every day. So here you go. If you want, you can take part in this quiz. Do let me know the meaning of this word called arraigned, right? It is not arranged, it is arraigned. And then you have this answers. Your answer for this map-based question is Trinidad, of course. 2 questions that are, of course, map-based. We'll talk about it tomorrow. That's everything. Up to 50% discount available on our pen drive and tablet courses till 16th of August. So make sure you make the most out of it. I'll see you all tomorrow. God bless you all. Enjoy your day. Jai Hind.